Welcome back to the Overlanding Creation channel. This is going to be video number 1 in a 4-part series where I attempt to take a budget hunting rifle and turn it into a long-range precision platform that'll stand toe-to-toe with much more expensive rifles in this category. Now, before we start talking about the rifle, I do want to mention a longtime sponsor of the channel, Torch EDC. You guys have seen this bag and other bags on my channel before. This is my bug out bag, my go bag. I take it with me camping. I just had this up in northern Vermont on a 3-day hiking trip and camping trip. My dad and I hiked with about 50-pound rucks on our backs. This is the bag I used. Held up really well, had everything that I needed in the bag for that overnight trip. In the mountains, we're up like over 3,000 feet of elevation. Really great trip. This is the bag I used. It held up great. I had everything from my sleeping mat to probably about a gallon of water total, my poncho, food, supplies. I strapped the tent on the top of it, which was really nice. I could use these D-rings in the back to kind of strap my tent onto it. But yeah, the bag held up great for that. I absolutely love the Torch EDC bags. You have some space on the front here for some patches. I won't go too much into the bag itself. I have explained this bag in other videos, so if you want to go back and check those out. But if you're interested in picking up a bag from Torch EDC, you can check out their website, torchedc.com. Use my discount code Overland10. It'll get you 10% off this bag or any of the other bags that they have on their website. First thing to figure out was what chamber did we want the gun chambered in? What round were we going to use? Obviously, there's a lot of very capable long distance rounds. 308 has been around for a very long time. It's been very heavily used. 6.5 Creedmoor is a new, very popular one. There's also some even newer rounds like the 6mm ARC. I do plan on doing stuff with that down the road. Then you can go into the bigger calibers, the Magnums, 300 Win Mag, 300 PRC, 7mm is getting popular now. I went with 6.5 Creedmoor. It's a very popular round, very common round nowadays for long range precision shooting. I have all the equipment that I need to load 6.5 Creedmoor because I have other rifles chambered in it. The next decision was what gun were we going to choose. There's several great brands in this category. Ruger makes the American Gen 1 and Gen 2, both great hunting rifles. Tikka has a good option. Savage obviously makes a good option. Bergara, there's some other ones. When I was looking at a rifle, there's a couple things that I wanted to keep in mind. One was it needed to be a fairly accurate rifle out of the box. It doesn't need to be sub MOA, but it needed to have a good action and barrel that I could work with. A cheap action, a cheap barrel, no matter what you do to it, it's never going to shoot accurately. Second of all was the price point. This needed to be on the lower end of the spectrum. Didn't have to be the cheapest thing out there, but it needed to be a budget line and something that maybe I could find on sale or had a promo or rebate that we could get the price down. Savage was one of the first ones that came to mind. I've personally used Savage rifles in the past. I know them to be very accurate, and I've heard that Savage has made a big improvement on the Axis model, specifically the Axis 2 Pro model. So that's what we went with. This is the Savage Axis 2 Pro, chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor. We got this at Bass Pro Shops. It was actually on sale for $475, and they were offering a $75 promo. So this was $400 out the door, which is insanely cheap for a rifle that can shoot any type of accurate groups. And we're gonna find that out here in just a few minutes. So let's go ahead and open the box. We're gonna go over the rifle. I've done nothing to it. This is brand new. We're gonna get it out of the box. We're gonna take a look at it, and then we're gonna shoot our first groups. Now this particular rifle also came with a hunting scope, which once again, the fact that this thing was $400 out the door is crazy cheap. Now the scope itself is not a great scope. This is a pretty cheap scope. I'm not even sure that I've heard of this brand, Viridian Eon. Yeah, never even heard of it. So super cheap, pretty budget, just your basic hunting scope. Has a 2-part rail up here, has some very basic rings, which is to be expected. But again, just the fact that it was only $400 and it gives you the scope already mounted. If you wanted to take this hunting, this would probably be perfectly fine as is. The factory stock isn't too bad. It's like probably like a Hogue stock, kind of that plastic material. There's one problem I see right out of the gate, and that is, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this or not, but that stock is actually touching the barrel right there on that left side. You can see a gap there. it seems to be touching the barrel. So that's problem number one, and that's an issue that you find on cheap factory stocks like this. It's supposed to be a free floated barrel, which I'm sure it is, but when you have a stock that's very weak and flexible, oftentimes it will touch the barrel. So that's going to affect the accuracy right out of the gate, right there. But anyway, the action, it's pretty basic action. It is a Savage action, so it should be fairly accurate. Decent barrel. It does have this like spiral fluting that's supposed to help mitigate the heat a little bit, which that's nice. Two very important things with this barrel, and these were requirements as far as I was concerned in the rifle that I was looking for. One of them is it has a medium to heavy contour profile barrel. That's a big deal. Most budget hunting rifles, especially in this price point, are gonna have your thin taper profile, or what some people call pencil profile barrels. Those barrels will heat up very quickly. Once you get about 3 to 5 rounds in there, you have to stop and let them cool off. They also will flex a little bit, so it decreases accuracy. So I was looking for something that had a medium to heavy profile barrel. This was actually fairly thick, so that's good to see. And another thing was it is threaded. So you see it's got this little thread protector on the end there, but it does have a threaded barrel. So that'll allow us to add either a muzzle device, or in this case, I'm gonna add a suppressor to it. Those were two requirements I was looking for. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to find those in this price point, and obviously I did, so that's awesome. Moving back, pretty cheap features. You have a plastic safety selector here. I would prefer that be a metal one, but again, it's hard to complain in the price point. That shouldn't affect accuracy too much. It just is what it is. Another big thing is the Savage AccuTrigger. I love these triggers. I've used them in other rifles, like I said before. They can be adjusted. I know in my 300 Win Mag, I have it adjusted down to about 1 pound of pull. I think this one has the same capabilities. We'll take a look here in a minute. But you can adjust the triggers, and in my experience, they've been very, very good, very precise triggers. So that's another big win for us. And that's about it. You can adjust comb height. I don't think you can add shims in the back either. Comes with some sling swivel lugs there, but that's about it. So fairly basic setup in terms of the stock and rifle. I already mentioned the scope, super cheap hunting scope, cap turrets, very basic rings. Again, not a bad setup if I was just gonna go out and do some hunting with this. But for what we're looking to do, a lot of that's gonna have to go. There's the basic rifle out of the box. In the box, we get some ATF paper. Awesome. What else we got here? We had the bolts, I assume. Owner's manual, little lock. Yes, this tool right here is what's used to adjust that trigger. So I will be doing that. It comes with a little 3-round detachable magazine. It's nice that it's detachable. However, it does go flush, and it's only three rounds. I prefer at least 5 or more. Okay, here we go. Here's the bolt. So, I mean, not a bad looking bolt. Savage does make pretty decent bolts. Feels good. Not crazy about the handle on the back here. Kind of an odd shape. Now, I have heard people complain about how stiff these bolts are from the factory, so we're gonna take a look at that. To insert this bolt, you have to pull the trigger and then press down on this little bolt release, and there we go. Went in pretty smooth. Oh yeah, that definitely sticks a little bit. You can see it goes up there, and then you gotta put some force into it. Slides pretty smoothly. All things considered, this has not been lubed or cleaned or anything. So right out of the box, not too bad. Other than the fact that it is definitely a little sticky. Like I said, again, you go down, it seems to hit there. I mean, that requires a decent amount of force. It's also a very long throw. I'm just picturing, you know, I'm on target, I come up, that's gonna throw the rifle off cant pretty bad. You're also hitting the scope. We're gonna go with a bigger scope. It's gonna kind of get in the way. This might be something that we have to modify, honestly, because I want that bolt to be a little bit smoother, and I want that, that throw to be a smaller angle. I don't know what angle this is, probably 90 degree. Looks like a 90 degree throw. We might have to make adjustments to that. But yeah, so I think that we have a good product for out the box and for being the price that it was, that I think we'll be able to get started with this. Like I mentioned before, as part of the first video, as part of part number 1, we want to get some baseline groups for this rifle. So we're going to shoot 3 different types of bullets. I have Nosler. This is 140 grain RDF. This is match grade ammo, so very, very accurate ammo. Like I said, 140 grain. We have Sako. Sako is also known for making high quality ammo and very accurate ammo as well. So we're going to try to give this gun every benefit that we can out of the box to get it shooting well. These are 120 grain tipped expanding copper. These are the power blades. And then lastly, we're going to go with the SIG Marksman Hunter. These are 130 grain. These are the Sierra Match King bullets, which are very popular in 6.5 Creedmoor. 130 grain is also a popular choice in 6.5 Creedmoor. This gives us 3 really good options for factory box ammo that should be pretty accurate. I know the Nosler is very accurate because I've shot this before my other rifles. This 100% can shoot under 1 inch in the right rifle. And obviously SIG and Sako make great ammo and guns as well. So I think it's going to give us a good baseline. We'll shoot 5 round groups of each one of those, just so we can see if it likes one versus the other. We're going to keep all that information. I have my target here. All right, this is the target we're going to be using. It has been shot already, but we'll go probably somewhere here in the middle, and I'll mark out. We'll take probably, let's say, okay, we're going to do rows 6 and 7. Row number 6, we'll do 1, 2, and 3. We'll do them over here. We'll do rows D, E, and F. 1, 2, and 3 for the factory loads, 5 rounds each. And then directly underneath it, we'll go probably row 8, D, E, and F. We'll do the final product 3-round group with the same bullets as well, so we can see if we've improved any on the accuracy when it's all said and done. Now, there's going to be a 4th group on that final product, and those will be hand loads. So that's another aspect to this build that I want to do, is I want to put together some very, very accurate precision hand loads for this rifle. When you get a rifle and you want to shoot accurately long distance, and you also hand load, you can take measurements of the barrel, knowing how far that bullet is jumping before it engages the lands, playing around with powder charges, more or less velocity. There's a lot of things you can do to make a gun substantially more accurate. So we're gonna go down that road as well. That'll be video number 3, where we kind of go into the weeds on the loading process and see if we can load some ammo that will really help this rifle to shine. So that'll be group number 4 on the final product. Okay, first group up is gonna be the Marksman Hunter. This is 130 grain with the Sierra Match King Game King tip. This magazine actually holds 4 rounds, turns out. And we'll do 1 in the chamber. A total of 5 rounds. Each group will be 5 rounds total. I tell you, this is a 3 to 9 power scope. Very, very difficult to see the target, let alone the dot. So I'm gonna do my best, but I said we were gonna shoot it as is without any modifications, and that's what we're doing. The only thing that I've changed is I've added the suppressor on the end, just because I have neighbors. I try not to be too loud out here at the range, but other than that, everything is completely stock. I have rechecked 0 with the suppressor on the end, made a few minor adjustments, so we should be pretty close to dead on as far as that's concerned. All right, that's the first 5. Man, that's a hard one. Okay, we're doing the Sako. These are kind of cool. They have a little bit of a green tip on them. We're doing the Sako power head blade. One's next. Once again, magazine only holds 4, so I'm gonna single load 1. And we'll put the magazine in. Okay. All right, that's the last one. I'll go ahead and get the target. We'll measure the groups and I'll see you back at the bench. Okay, so we're back in from the range, taking a look at the results. Unfortunately, I was not able to shoot the Noslers, which is really disappointing because I know that these are very, very accurate rounds. These were the 140 grain RDFs. These bullets are very long. RDF stands for reduced drag factor, so they have a very high BC. Very accurate, but unfortunately I was not able to load them in this rifle. Seems to have a pretty short throat. Tried to put the bullet in, actually got stuck in the lands. Obviously I didn't force it. I was going in gently and just was not gonna be able to close the bolt. So unfortunately I was not able to shoot the Noslers. That may be an issue for loading. We're gonna have to load probably a little bit shorter, but we're gonna do all the measurements in video number 3. So as you saw, I was able to shoot the SIG Marksman Hunter. These are really good rounds, very accurate. I've shot them before. They're shooting the Sierra Game King bullet, which is a great bullet. And then I also shot the Sako Powerhead blades. Once again, very accurate ammo. Sako is known for accuracy. I've shot these in my SIG Cross, for example, and got very good groups. Got under 1-inch groups with these, with my SIG Cross, so I know they're capable of that. These are the 120 grain, and the SIG are 130 grain. So we did 2 groups of 5. Here are the results. So I circled them. Our first group was the SIG, very respectable group. For some reason, it was shifting to the left as I shot. I'm not sure. The only thing I can think of is the stock is touching the barrel on the left. So I don't know if as we shot, maybe that was coming into play, but either way, that was the group. On the Sako, you can only see 4 holes, which was a little confusing, but when I got a closer look, I realized that there are actually 2 holes in one right there. You guys might not be able to pick that up on camera, but this hole is slightly elongated. So 2 bullets went through there, and then we have the other 3 right there. So there are all 5. It was very confusing because I couldn't find it, but there are 5 shots there. Now to measure them to see what the groups are. All right, we're gonna zero this out. Okay, let's do the Sako first because those obviously were not quite as good. Looks like probably this group. We're gonna go center to center. Center to center, we're looking at 1.8. Really 1.9. All right, guys, there you have it. If you can see that, we're going center to center, 1.90 on the Sako. So under 2 inches, but really not great. Next is going to be the SIG. Let's see, are these the furthest? About the same. Okay. Okay, we're looking at 1.25. Those guys right there. And those right there, about the same distance. Again, going center to center, 1.25. So we're gonna call that 1.2. Okay, so there you have it, guys. There's our initial rounds. Sako 1.2 inch, sorry, the SIG 1.2 inch, Sako 1.9 inch. Both groups are under 2 inches. This was at 100 yards. The SIG is not bad. 1.2 inches from a factory rifle that costs $400 with a factory plastic stock that is currently touching the barrel. I will take that all day long. For a hunting application, that is more than good enough. 1.2 inches is great. So my initial thoughts after shooting the groups, I actually shot it quite a bit. I did have to sight it in. They had it generally dialed in from the factory, but it really wasn't there, especially putting the suppressor on. I did have to make some adjustments. So shot it a handful of times to get it dialed in, and then we went from there. Shot a total of 10 rounds after that. So at this point, I would say probably about 15 rounds through the rifle, 5 to sight in, 10 to measure for groups. I did let the barrel cool down an equal amount of time between the groups. I don't think that was really a factor though. The barrel never got too hot. It is a heavier barrel, and with the fluting, it does help out. A couple of things that I noticed right away. The bolt lift is very stiff. It definitely affects accuracy. When you eject a round, you're coming completely off target. The whole gun is moving from position. You're loading another round, you have to get back into position again. It's very awkward, and it definitely throws you off. The scope, however, is a huge limiting factor. This is a 3 to 9 by 40. Very, very difficult to see a target clearly at 100 yards, especially these dots. The reticle that's in there is just a basic crosshairs, and the center of the crosshairs pretty much completely covers the dot. So really what I was doing was I was looking at the lines of dots, and I was trying to line up the reticle based on the rows of dots to get as close as I could, but it was very difficult. It really made me work. And so putting a better scope on it would automatically improve the groups because it would allow you to be more precise with your shot. So I think the gun is actually capable of shooting better than these groups, but with this platform, that was the best I could get. New scope, obviously, we need to put a better rail. A 2-piece rail is not ideal because you can have movement between the 2 pieces. So we need to go with a single rail, probably go with a 20 MOA rail to add a little bit more adjustment in there. I do want to do a few things to the bolt to clean that up, and obviously new stock. The trigger wasn't too bad out of the box. I do want to adjust it. It's a little bit stiff for my liking, but better than what I was expecting, to be honest. It wasn't too bad. So there you have it, guys. Those are the initial impressions and the initial groups with the Savage Access 2 Pro. Stay tuned for the next video, which will be part 2 in the series. That is where we're gonna look at all the modifications we're gonna do with the rifle. We'll go over the prices for each item, and we'll actually go ahead and build the rifle into the platform that I want it to be. And hopefully we can get it substantially more accurate. Once again, guys, you know the drill. As always, please like the video, comment down below, share, subscribe, all the good things. I definitely appreciate it. It helps the channel out a lot. Hopefully I will have the next videos in sequence coming up every week moving forward. So make sure you are subscribed and following along so you can stay with us in this journey. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments down below relating to this build, long range precision shooting, or loading in general. I'd be happy to read the comments and answer them as well. Thanks again, guys, and I will catch you in episode 2.